welcome to this episode of Disrepair. Today we're going to show you how we put together a Model A EV conversion. I know in our last video we just showed you the finished product and the reaction to it. Well, it's a very popular kit. We're going to put it all in this car today. So step one, you put the proprietary adapter that we've designed for a Model A with the Model A engine mounts, hook it to the motor. Check out this adapter. So this is like a 4-inch piece of billet aluminum, milled out, really nice piece. So this goes on the splines of the transmission.
So should be in, right?
You kind of come around the...
Yep. I'm going to go down. You're going to kind of go around it. Okay. You can put the ears on after, but I kind of found this is the easiest way to do it, is just put the ears on first.
Okay.
All right, get it there, and I'll grab those little rubber biscuits. Okay. But these you put in after. Here we go. So now we gotta go down a little bit, don't we? Yeah. You just take the little cover off, you know. There.
We got this thing sent home already, and he's gonna go down a little bit. All right, there we go. And we're just gonna put these bolts
There
in.
we go. There we go. Yeah.
Awesome. And this does use your factory bell housing stuff. So
Yeah, there we go.
we've got this sitting in place, and he's just gonna put the bell housing bolts on, and then we'll move on to the next step. Make sure you put in all 11 bell housing bolts. They should line up precisely. One word of caution is you don't really want to use impact on those aluminum parts when you're mating the bell housing to the adapter plate. Just do it by hand and be nice and easy with it, because you don't want to strip any threads out.
Okay, that is in. Whew.
Now install your rubber grommets for your motor mounts.
Did yours line up?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. There we go.
Next steps. So this is the motor cradle. So it goes just like this. And the motor sandwiches the motor. This bolts directly in the chassis. So this goes underneath the frame. You want to install this, just slide it in there and get the motor flush right here with the frame rails and the motor at the same time. And then drill the 2 holes on the other side.
Yep.
While they're under there tightening that mount, I wanted to show you what's inside the car. The only thing you'll have to do inside the car, there's a 2-inch hole you have to drill directly under your seat so you can pass all the wires through. That'll let you get all your wiring through. This is our jib H9. This is all your 12-volt wiring. And then you've got your BMS system. One of the things you're probably wondering, I just drilled a 2-inch hole in my car and I don't want to chafe the wires. Well, we send you this little plastic thing that pops on either side of it to protect your wires. So the motor is fully mounted in the car now. So we're done with that part. We're going to move on to the next step.
So the front motor, the front mount, battery mount, uses factory holes that are in the frame. So you line it up with that, you drop the bolts through. We have a template that you put underneath that marks the distance between these two and the rear holes. So you can drill the holes in the right place for the rear.
So one nice thing about the kit is we're going to send you all the hardware to do this, so you don't have to make any runs to the hardware store and get extra bolts and all that. It's just like an IKEA kit.
All right, so the next step is to set this tray on here. This is the battery tray. It should sit on top of here on these bridges and line up. You're just going to drop these bolts through. Passenger side rear corner is where the pump mounts. So when you put this bolt through from the corner, you're going to put that through here and then line this up here. It is cut out to where it'll fit in the right orientation. So next up is the reservoir. This is going to mount where the old fuel line came through the firewall. It's got a little index sink bump right here and the same size hole. So we made a part that just goes in and it sits through there. And then you just come inside and it's got a little washer you put on the inside that holds it in place. Next thing to install is that we removed the original firewall pass-through for the wiring. This is a replacement that's a little shorter. And you run the ignition. This is the 12-volt battery wire, and this is the ignition wire for the ignition switch. When you have the wires run up here, the last step is you'll put this on there. And then use the original brass wing nuts. Like that. That way it has the right look. Before you put the batteries in, you put the charger in. This is the charger mount, and these two holes on each side are going to bolt to the two holes in the battery tray. If you line
See,
it
I'm
up.
like supervising. I just got Ron under there having to do all the under this. He's the thinnest of all of us, that's why.
Got it? Now just hold it up.
I'm just holding it.
Oop.
The next step is to lift the bottom battery box into place. And we do supply lifting hooks, but you're going to need an engine hoist to do this.
There's some bolts missing right here and here on both sides. That's intentional. That's where you're going to bolt it into the battery tray once it's in. All right, let her down. Important to know is there is a front and back to these batteries. The terminals are going to come out on the driver's side.
So you will want to remove these hooks, but you're going to leave the bolts out for now because there is another part that we mount to those bolt holes.
This is the driver's side wiring harness. This connects the BMS and the chassis wiring up. You want to put this in right before you put in the top battery box. To start with, you're just going to feed this through just to where it's out of the way so we can hook these up before we put the top battery box in. So just kind of feed it through above the motor mount here and below the clutch pedal. Just push it through there for now. When we finish up, we'll tie this in. So we'll push this through, and then as you push it through, there's going to be wires right here. So these wires are here. This is the pump and the fan plug and a ground. This is what runs the pump and fan. These will go over here, and there's a clamp we'll put on there in just a moment. These are your battery, your keyed ignition, and this will go to a reverse switch. So you run this under the steering column. So we're going to skip the clamp for now. You're going to run under the steering column. You're going to put it here, and this little junction box, this pass-through box. This is your battery. So we're going to hook the battery up. You see the battery's the red wire, and then there's red with a blue stripe. See this red with the blue stripe goes to the ignition. So you're going to go here, you're going to here. The reverse wire is going to go through to hook up to your reverse button. This should be familiar. When you're taking it apart, it would have the same studs. So the same studs, the same thread. We will provide these nuts, but you'll just reuse the brass wing nuts from the original. So with the wires hooked up, your key and your battery, you just put this little lid on. It's exactly the same as the original. And then you put these little the little wing nuts on there and get them good and snug. I like to make them even, doesn't really matter. If you lost these brass wing nuts, you can get them from like Eckler's or Mike's Affordable Model A parts. They're still available.
So one of the things that you're going to have to do is you're going to have to hook up the cooling system, which is behind these battery boxes. We'll draw a diagram and show you how to do that.
All right, these hoses are for liquid cooling of the batteries. We're not able to pre-install the bottom ones because when you put it in, you have to route them under the bridge up to these T's, which will be pre-installed. So cut off about 3 feet of hose or so, and once you put it in there, you're going to come up here, and don't forget to put the clamps on there.
Okay, so we've just completed another step of the EV swap. We're not going to show you this on camera, but it is hooking up all the coolant system. The reason we didn't show you on camera is because it's just behind the batteries. But if you bought a kit, we'd show you how to hook those hoses up and make your coolant system work. All right, so the next thing we're putting on is the radiator for your cooling system. This mounts in existing holes. All right, so the next step is to install the controller. This is like the brains of the operation here. And we've got this nice bracket, just sits right on top of the battery pack, and then you just put some Allen bolts in. All right, the next step is you want to put the phase wires on. And we provide these clips to kind of keep these nice and organized. And you just put these on. These wires, they are labeled, so you know where to hook them on here. So you'll notice these have lettering, U, V, W, and each one of these wires has a corresponding label. So it's pretty easy to get right. This wire divider has holes pre-drilled and ready to screw right into the side of the box so you can hold your wires. Okay, so you just bolt these down. These are 13 millimeter. So James is underneath. He's putting the bolts on the motor, and those are 17 millimeter. And the final step is pop these little covers in place to cover up the wires. Nice and neat. All right, so we've got the controller on. Now we need to install some of the coolant lines. These have AN fittings on them, so you can just screw them right into this controller unit right here. All right, now that you've gotten these tightened on here, so remember this is your controller, and it needs coolant. So it's very important you hook up these coolant lines. But we've also made provisions here for the hoses. So you can just pop them in there so they're nice and clean. All right, so this is one of the really cool features that we've made. This is what keeps that nice looking original Model A grill shell that's so famous. Now, it does take a friend to put this piece together because Ford supplied us with some like little spring bolts and things like that. So here is the part we have made. Now this is also where you charge. So this is your charging connector. But on the back side, we've got our main disconnect switch and our jib with connectors already pre-installed. So you'll get this assembled just like this. And this uses the existing holes in the body, right where your old radiator used to sit. All right, so you got the wires. You want to feed them right through here and kind of position those for later. Okay, I'd leave this a little loose for now. And this is what I was saying about having a friend. It's hard to reach the underside of the bolt. It's just hard to get around. So if you can have a friend lay underneath while you tighten the top, we'll get to that later, but keep your friend around just, well, to bring the beer and also help you get this thing put together. If you've worked on cars a lot, you know that they always give you these kind of interesting clips. This has a snap clip like this. Make sure that's pushed out, and these can't get plugged in wrong because they're shaped like the device. So there you go, there's one. Push the little clip in. Here's the second one. You might have to get that from the bottom. So you see all these connections we need to make out here, and we send a bunch of these wires. Well, they're already cut to length with the ends on them, and these are really slick little ends. You just slide them in here. There's a little, you can see there's a little groove. It should just snap right in place. Now these won't come off, but there is a button on the side if you need to release them and pull them off. Okay, and then this one goes here. And that one goes right there. When you're done, this little should fit right there, and there's a tiny little hole, and you put a bolt in there, and then your wires are done on this end. Perfect. Now the next step is to find the one that has this little guy on it, which is a current sensor. Now we've 3D printed it and made a little standoff for it, and we've also got a bracket here with two little holes in it. So this standoff kind of tells you which direction to put it. It'll set the nub in there with the hole, and then one end goes to here, and the other end needs to come over to this jib and hook into the negative side. All right, so one of the things is you'll see these red caps that are located on these batteries. Don't remove these caps because you don't want to short these batteries out. So leave these in place until we tell you to remove them. The other thing is just kind of lay this cable in here and make sure it's not bound up on anything. We'll show you how to get all this stuff in place later. Another safety thing is this switch right here. You want to make sure this just stays off the whole time you're working on this. This is your master switch. So right now it's off, it's in the locked position. Nice and safe. All right, so you want to find the longest of these cables. Save that one for last. There's two clips that go with this one. There's a single and double. And I'll show you where those go in just a second. So you want to plug this in here. There you go, okay. All right. And then you lay these two here. These will go right here and here. Okay? Now this looks like this is going to be too long to make our connection, but there's a reason for it. You've got to come through the radiator area and then go around this wire and then up to here. And this one's a little tricky to see, but you can hear it click when it goes in place. So lay that right in there. That's exactly how that should sit. Okay, so you're going to want to find this wire, the one that has this style end on it, and this one on the other. It's got one tabby-do right there, and you want to put that one right there. Kind of wrap this around, and you see how this says negative out? That's where you want to plug this one into. Nice click. Bring this up here. So it says minus as well. Everything needs to match up. This is the last one of these. This, again, this has a special end on it. You'll want to plug this one in right in here. It's a little tricky to get in there. Trust me, it fits. So you'll want to sneak it in there and then find the place where it clips. Which is, I don't know where.
Yeah,
All right, and remember that one we left open? There's where it goes. But let's go ahead and put it on here first before we put it in there. And that goes in here, nice and neat. One of those. Tighten that down. Okay, we'll find this piece. And this is the last part you're going to put on these two wires right here. And that just keeps them from moving around. Tighten these nice and snug. And then install your covers. Well, lucky for us, there's only two harnesses to worry about. There's a driver side harness and a passenger side harness. This is the passenger side harness. It does connect to the motor. It also connects to the jib. It has your 12-volt battery hookup. We'll show you all that in just a minute, but it's a pretty easy hookup. Passenger side. Lucky enough, you're about 80% done with this install. This car is really getting close to running. So this plug-in goes right here. Click. This plug-in goes right inside of here. Click. Then you've got this ground. This ground, very important. Grounds are, you put it on the stud that's sticking out right there. So you're probably noticing that we have a wire left over. This wire actually connects to right here. It's the pre-charge wire. Put the nut on.
he's tightening that.
To put your ground nut on there and tighten that down. Very important. Okay, we only have one more plug left. You should see this one dangling out, and it'll match up to this one right here. Click, you're done. All right, so you're done on top. You got these two plug-ins. They have to go to the bottom, so let's go under the car. Under the car, I've got my plug-ins. We go up to here, there should be a bolt right there, and that's a lug. And this black plug-in, slide it into place. Should lock like that, so it's completely locked in, won't fall out. All right, so there's two other things that are down here, now that we've got this harness here. These two plug-ins, and they go to the motor. Okay, so the one with the smaller one goes on the bottom. The larger one goes on the top. That's it. There you go. All plugged in. All right, the really nice thing about Model A's is you can take the floorboards out. So you'll want to pour that other part of the harness through the firewall and bring it down under like this. Down under. This cable coming through. Remember that hole we drilled in the pan earlier? You'll want to feed all these through there. So you've got, hold this one wire out. It's like a single wire. This goes to your 12-volt battery. This is your 12-volt battery source, and your battery's over on this side. So just string this across and find the best path on your way over there. So now we've got this run through the hole, and we've got the harness pulled out here. We've got our jib here, and you'll want to just start finding the plug-ins that these belong to. So there's one plug-in you're not going to use right now. It's this one with the 3 pins. That's for another use. Okay, lay that in there. And then there is one more harness that you need to plug in. Now this comes from your BMS. It's got the white plug, goes right to there. And then that one goes to okay. Okay, we're all done with the passenger side harness. Now let's go do the driver's side harness. Okay, so this is the driver's side harness. And remember those round plugs we talked about earlier? These are the BMS plugs. So the best way to route this is to bring it around your steering column like this, so it doesn't get interfered with by your hood.
Recording.
Okay, so we got that strung through there. Make sure you just go one at a time. They won't all fit together. Now these have different colored wires. You'll see there's red, orange, and yellow. And those have specific slots that they go on these batteries. Now it's important you get these right, but they also only fit one way. Yellow goes on top, so pull your cap off. Don't touch those pins. And that just nicely fits in there and locks in. Now go to your second one. Red. Pull your cap. Don't touch those pins. Same procedure. And the only one left is the orange, and you'll pull these off. Now the secret to these, there is a kind of a big tooth on the top. That goes to the top. So turn that, lock it in, and we are locked in. Now here's your last plug-in on this. Current sensor, very important sensor. You want to plug that in. Perfect. Okay, we're all done out here. You got to get back under the car again. So let's get under the car and string those wires through. Just kind of make sure you avoid all the pedal area. And we're just going to lay this in right alongside the frame rail. There's holes in the frame rail. We'll zip tie this later. There's these 3 wires here. These will go to there. But we want to continue stringing this along and bring this back to the same place, that same hole, that 2-inch hole we drilled through the car. And just feed these through nice and gently, one at a time. All right, so we come back around the inside of the car, and you've got these wires laid out, and you should find their matching plugs, and just start plugging things in. This goes to here, so the white plug-in goes to your BMS. Okay. Okay, so when you're all done, you should have this one plug-in left over. Now this is just a leftover for diagnostics. So you'll just want to stuff all this back down in here nice and easy. And then the final step will be to put this little shield around there so it protects the wires. It should look something like this, and all the wires should be protected from getting chafed. The next step I would do is get out here and you want to get your throttle pedal. We have this. This is a throttle pedal, okay? And you'll want to place this on the floorboard, wood floorboard, and just drill 2 holes to mount it. All right, so we've got the throttle pedal mounted. It's ready to go. Let's just set this aside for now, and we're going to hook up the 12-volt battery that's under the floor, and then we'll come back and put this panel in. Okay, so you're back inside the car now. Remember all those dangling wires we had? We had like some reds and we have a black. You want to hook these to the battery. So there'll be 3 on the positive post. Okay, and then there's this one left over. You want to put that on your negative post. Okay, when you hook up your 12-volt battery, you will hear a little click from a relay. That is normal. Now it's time to reinstall that floorboard. It's a little tricky, but if you've done Model A's before, you probably know how this goes in. That's your upper piece, okay? And here's your other lower piece. Just like that. All right, so we finally get to hook up the fun pedal. So there's that plug-in that's left over. Snaps right in place. So we're all done in here. So let's throw that grill shell on. Okay, so you guys who know Model A's, you know what these pieces go to. Radiator support. And you know this piece. This made all those Model A's identifiable while they're coming down the road. Put your original grill shell back on. And right here is your charging port. We also made you a nice cap that goes right in that spot. Pops on just like the original radiator cap. No one will ever know. Guys, this is the moment of truth. Flip that big switch. All right, now we just turn the key on. You'll hear some clicking, things enabling, and it's ready to go. Make sure you're in neutral. Let's go driving. All right, so that is really it. Now this kit, on an average weekend, you could probably put this entire kit in, get your engine out, and get it back running. And don't forget to charge your EV. But really, this thing comes completely configured, so you don't even have to break out your laptop. You're ready to go driving. All right, it's the moment of truth. We finally get to drive it. Although we're going backwards right now. All right, now we're going forwards. Not too shabby. I'm gonna just record this taking the jack off.
Nothing the audio now.
All right, find this piece. It's a little double clamp. Oh my God.
Yeah, I know.